my mind set on you. I got my mind set.
They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm 50. I'm just getting started. Have you ever wondered why? As you've gotten older, as you've worked into this age of 50, that all of a sudden you walk into rooms and you forget why you walked in there? Or you go to the grocery store and if you don't have a list, you're not coming home with what you went to the store for. Maybe some other things that you didn't, but that's another conversation for another day. Then you need to watch this video. We need to think about the things that engage our minds and train our minds just the way we train our bodies as we grow older. So stick around and let's talk about learning a new language, learning a new skill in order to flex your mind, just like you want to flex your muscles as you get older. If this kind of content is something that interests you, fitness at 50, living your best life at 50, engaging your mind and learning a new language at 50, travel, experiencing what life has to offer at 50, do me a favor. Give it a like, subscribe. This is the 50 Tango. Like, subscribe. For today's video, as we're talking about engaging the mind and building a stronger mind as we age, I thought the appropriate song should be, I Got My Mind Set on You. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. You got rickrolled. I thought this was a super cool meme when I found it, and it really kind of deals with what we're talking about today. I opted to learn a foreign language as I started to approach 50, Spanish being the one. So here's that meme addressing being rickrolled in Spanish. Ha sido rickrolled. It's funny. Okay, now getting that out of the way. As we age, our mind starts to slow down. You've probably already noticed if you're past 50 or maybe as you're approaching it, you start to walk into rooms and forget why you walked in there, or you forget where you placed your keys, or if you're a woman going through menopause, you're experiencing brain fog, right? These are all things that happen naturally as we age. So I've done multiple videos on the impact of sugar and choosing to do exercise that challenges the body, but they're specifically good for training the body to prepare as we get older. But we also have to remember we gotta flex our mind. So we've established that, and as we get older, our mind starts to fail. You meet someone new, you can't recall their name, or maybe you're talking about a movie and it had that actor or actress in it, and I can see her face, but I can't remember her name. That's what we're up against. And in order to get around that, what we're talking about is this idea of neuroplasticity. And what neuroplasticity is the easiest way I can explain it is you got to think of your brain as kind of like a GPS that you have to keep updated. Traveling the interstate and there's construction or there's an accident and that interstate gets shut down. If we don't update our GPS, it might not be able to reroute us and calculate a new route around that traffic, that slowdown, where we can still get to our destination. We just didn't take the primary path. And that's how neuroplasticity works. It is engaging our brain, creating that neuroplasticity, those new neural pathways that allow us to get to that thought, right? That destination in our brain that we're looking for, but it just might not take the path that it once traditionally took. So let's talk about why learning a new language is a great way to flex your mind. If you speak to a man in a language he knows, you speak to his mind. But if you speak to a man in his native tongue, you speak to his heart. And that really motivated me. That touched me. And I thought, wow, what more reason outside of engaging my mind and learning a new language and being able to communicate with more people than to actually be able to bridge that gap and actually speak to someone where you touch their heart because you have tried to communicate with them in their mother tongue. A question that I get all the time is, why Spanish? Why a new language? And I have an answer for that. But then the follow-up question is, well, what did you do? How did you start? And then how do you reach that level that you're presently at? The answer to the first question is why I chose Spanish. I live in the United States, and we've got a large Spanish-speaking population, Hispanohablantes. And it only made sense that I would want to be able to communicate with Spanish-speaking individuals here and abroad. I've always wanted to know how to speak another language fluently. So I told myself, instead of dabbling in it, that I was going to commit and become a serious student of Spanish. Hopefully you're watching this and going, yeah, I'm not that old. Stop calling me an old dog. I can still learn new tricks. I can still learn a new language. And hopefully you're inspired to do that. But how do you get started? And I really think the easiest way to get started is Duolingo. Duolingo is where I got started. And initially, I can't say I was a serious student. I wasn't worried about doing a lesson every day and staying immersed in the language and trying to actually gain additional knowledge. I was just working on vocabulary, in essence, some vocab. If you're just looking to get started on a new app, Duolingo is, in my opinion, the best place to start. Another thing you can do once you've worked through the language app of your choice, again, I like Duolingo, you can move to maybe a phase 2 and start looking at books you could read in Spanish. If your level is low, beginner, then maybe look for a children's book. When I started looking at books, I was kind of in a A2, B1 level, which means I was advanced beginner, intermediate learner. And so I started with this. This was the first book that I bought in Spanish. This is short stories in Spanish. And first time I read it, it was a little tough. But as I continued to read and I reread the short stories, it got a little better. So there's another option for you to train your brain, flex your mind. The step that took me from a struggling student having no confidence to speak the language with any Hispanohablante was when I took a leap of faith and I found a website that connected me with native speakers of the language who are actual certified teachers. And that's where I met mi profesora, Fabiola. There is nothing like getting an actual lesson in another language from an actual native speaker. It's amazing. And Fabi has been my teacher now for, it will be 5 years this winter. And I have traveled to Mexico, I have traveled to Texas, I have traveled to Las Vegas, and I use my Spanish all the time. And remember a little bit ago where I said that one of the things that inspired me was speak to a person in a language they understand. You speak to their mind, speak to them in their mother tongue, you speak to their hearts. I can confirm that with 100% certainty. Having an actual Spanish tutor raised my confidence because I knew that I was communicating with an Español hablante. She gives me corrections when I need them. She gives me homework. We work on various things culturally. I felt like I not only understood the language, but I understood a little bit about the culture of Mexico. And that's a pretty fantastic feeling. In today's video, we talked about the unfortunate natural mental decline that comes along with aging. Diet, exercise, these are all things that help with that. But there's something else we can do. We can challenge ourselves to learn a new skill. We can challenge ourselves and learn a new language. And the side benefit of that is not only do you get to flex your mind, you get to connect with new people and new cultures. And that's a tremendous feeling. My question is, what's stopping you? We've talked about the tools that are available, the apps to get started, the ability to connect with someone throughout the world to learn that language, books. It's all there. You have the tools. So what's stopping you? That's the 5-0 tango. That's why we dance this dance at 50. Because while they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, I refuse to believe that I'm an old dog. I can't stop the fact that I'm aging, but I'll be damned if I'm not going to put up a fight getting old. Come back next time, 5-0 tango.